Let me be completely honest and blunt with you for a second here. This summer, at least when it comes to those big, bombastic blockbusters, has so far been extremely underwhelming to me. But amidst all of that Jurassic World skyscraper nonsense, we finally got a film that I can confidently say is totally worth buying an IMAX ticket for. Mission Impossible Fallout is our sixth venture into the franchise that made Ethan Hunt such a prominent figure in modern spy filmmaking. In my mind, this series finally got its footing in the third film, but it was Ghost Protocol, the fourth installment, that finally convinced me that Ethan Hunt can easily rival the likes of James Bond and Jason Bourne. I still consider Ghost Protocol this point of renaissance for this franchise, and when the fifth film came out, Rogue Nation, I was quite frankly slightly disappointed because for me, Ghost Protocol raised such a high bar that it was honestly hard to top. Well, that was true until Fallout came out. This one has everything you would expect from a Mission Impossible film. The plot is full of over-the-top twists, betrayals, and many Deus Ex Machinas. But that's not to say it's bad by any means. It does exactly what a modern espionage movie has to do, even with a bit of self-awareness injected here and there. In the film, Ethan Hunt and his team have to track down stolen plutonium and stop an all-out nuclear weapon attack, orchestrated by a very familiar villain. Right on, I'm gonna blast through and tell you that Fallout is by far my favorite action film this year. It's certainly not without its flaws, but it's the only blockbuster in 2018 that absolutely took my breath away. And while I was watching it, I was merely hypnotized by the amazing top-notch direction from Christopher McQuarrie and the exceptional stunts that Tom Cruise subjects himself to. The movie itself is actually quite long, it's 150 minutes, and by the end you might be a bit tired of the countless twists and turnarounds on the way, but I guarantee that you definitely won't be bored. I know that I probably said this one thing about every single Mission Impossible film out there, but Tom Cruise, oh my! What he does in Fallout is scary and insane and fantastic at the same time. If you follow the production of this film, you probably already know that he broke his ankle during the filming of the London chase sequence. Basically what happens, he breaks his ankle, then gets up and starts limping on the roof. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they actually used that footage in the final cut of the movie, because you see him struggle to pick up the pace and then it cuts to a completely different shot of him already running. It is just crazy, and when you couple that with Christopher McQuarrie's action directing, you get gems like the bathroom fight scene, for example, which is done with such level of realism and grit that you genuinely start subconsciously fearing for the bones and faces of the actors. At the same time, you also get actually good dialogue writing, which is surprising for such an over-the-top film. Witty, clever quips, most of which obviously come from Simon Pegg, fun audience-deceiving fake-outs here and there, and most importantly, a lot of Ving Rhames. In the previous movies, he would always get shafted as the tech guy and barely show up as a cameo, but in this film, he actually has a full-fledged role, which was really nice to see. Rebecca Ferguson is also back as the badass MI6 agent. I think she's really good. And just in general, it's an excellent ensemble cast of actors with great team chemistry. There's a short sequence here that doesn't have a single line of dialogue and only uses Lauren Boff's rigid, Zimmer-esque score to create the sense of agitation. And that scene was when I thought, this reminds me of The Dark Knight. Not a lot of summer films achieve that level of nerve-wracking high-wire tension. But I really want you to be on the same page with me on this, because after all, it is still a Mission Impossible movie with all of its typical attributes. If you didn't like the formula in any of the previous films, I don't think Fallout will change your mind. There's absolutely no doubt that Mission Impossible Fallout is hands down the big film of this summer. At times it is a bit derivative, and some of the more emotional moments don't work quite as well as one might expect, but truthfully in this case, those rough edges don't diminish the overall experience. It is the sheer embodiment of a scrupulously crafted, exciting summer blockbuster, and I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars. It truly is one of the most well-made, well-directed action movies I've seen recently. But, again, keep your expectations in check. Recently I've been seeing a lot of people comparing it to Mad Max Fury Road, which, by the way, I think is a vastly superior film, and not just setting yourself up for disappointment. Don't do that. That's it for another case of Tom Cruise running. Thank you for watching. If you've seen the film, then seriously talk to me in the comments below. I would love to discuss it. If you haven't seen it yet, then as I said previously, I would highly recommend rushing out to your local IMAX theater to watch it. It's worth every single cent, trust me. And next week, I'm going to be doing a review of Christopher Robin, that's for sure. Maybe something else, we'll see, depends on the schedule. Until then, have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.